Hello and welcome back. In this video, I will be doing a limited pack build with only base game and Enchanted by Nature, the new pack that we have that just came out that is also being called the Fairy Pack, of course, because this is the pack where we finally were given the Cult of Fairies. I have explored the pack a little bit on my own. However, if there is any, maybe even just like a short one-part rags to riches sort of video, I am absolutely open to doing that, as this pack really makes rags to riches a lot easier with being able to maintain all of your Sims needs through nature somehow. So that includes going to the bathroom, bathing, foraging for food, foraging for collectibles. There is quite a lot that goes into this pack. As you may be able to tell, I tried to give this almost like a Hobbit-Hole kind of feeling, of course, from the Lord of the Rings. And I did begin this while watching the first movie of the series, The Fellowship of the Ring. So I was very on brand when I was building this, felt much of the Hobbit vibes and everything in the Shire, and really wanted to give it that kind of natural vibe that they have as far as living in Hobbit holes. I mean, they pretty much are living underground. So that is kind of the aesthetic that I was going for here. I wanted to make it look like a house that was underneath like a little hill, which I think that this pack really was perfect for this sort of build. Later on, I do end up putting in as a clutter item, there is a new gnome that's called the Gnome Dalf, which I do believe is based off of Gandalf. It is like a gray bearded wizard, so definitely had a bit of some Lord of the Ring vibes, and that's kind of where I got the inspiration to begin this. I am starting now on the floor plan for the bottom floor. I knew that I wanted to make sure that the home had enough places for like food. I know that food is very important for hobbits, like in their culture. A lot of what they enjoy is peace and quiet and food, which personally is very relatable. So that's part of why I was so keen to make this build in particular. At the beginning of the video, you may have noticed that I was kind of going through some of the build items to make sure that I really was clear on what kind of Hobbit-Hole look I was going for. However, this pack was perfect for this sort of build. That's kind of why I was inspired for it, of course, with the Gnome Dalf inspiration that I saw when I was in game. Immediately just made me want to make a Hobbit-Hole. So this is not the first Hobbit-Hole that I have tried to make. However, this one was by far the easiest to make because we do have the grass roof patterns, and we are now able to put plants on the roofs similar to like chimneys for a fireplace. So this was the easiest Hobbit-Hole I have ever made before. However, it is not my first one, so I did have just a little bit of practice, although this video is only base game and Enchanted by Nature. So if you would like to see maybe an adaptation of a Hobbit-Hole including every single pack, I am absolutely more than willing to do that. Particularly, again, focusing on the food portion or the food aspect of Hobbits. Food is extremely important. So I wanted to make sure that I had the dining room and kitchen kind of figured out first as far as the layout. And then upstairs is going to be kind of like a lofted bedroom area. So it's going to be just an entire bedroom, and it's not going to be closed off by any walls. I am going to show you this build at the very end in real time, and I will zoom out and show you a little bit more of this lot that I am building on as well. Again, we are exploring the Enchanted by Nature pack. So this is the lot in the community of Everdew, I believe it is called. This is the lot that is on the top of a big tree. I'm sure you may have seen it before already in other content creators' videos, especially some of the creators who have early access. So this lot has been built on already by a couple of YouTubers, but this is just my first idea of what I wanted to put on this lot was a Hobbit-Hole. Now I am kind of going a little bit all over the place between going upstairs and downstairs, and that does kind of have to do with the fact that I am exploring a new pack for the first time as far as the build and buy mode. I was going through checking out all of the areas that were in yellow, which represents that there are more items that have not been seen or used yet. So I went through and made sure that I got at least a little bit of an idea of what all of the different items were in the pack. And here I am actually using some base game stairs rather than the ones that came with Enchanted by Nature to match that wood tone a little bit better. And here we are again. Upstairs is going to be kind of like a lofted bedroom area. I do have my sim self actually living here on this lot, just so that we could go in game, and later on you will see me opening up debug. I will be putting up the codes on screen so that you can put in the cheats yourself when you are doing your own building or anything like that. But going into debug is how I am going to end up getting some more access to some of the landscaping. So as you may be able to tell, I'm kind of jumping inside the house and then back outside the house as far as making sure that the decorations are all getting used properly. So I will be jumping back outside at some point and doing the decorations for the landscaping, some more of the items out there. But yeah, I will be back shortly and tell you a little bit more about the build. here we are jumping into live mode so that I can open up debug. Again, this is done by opening up the cheats panel, which is done by holding down Control-Shift-C, and that will open up that little top column. And in there you will type testing cheats on or testing cheats true. And then you will do bb.show hidden objects and then bb.show live edit objects. That is how I was able to open up all of these different items that you are seeing now. A good amount of YouTubers do end up opening up debugging using these, particularly on landscaping, because a lot of landscaping is not supplied through the expansion packs. They pretty much put all of the best landscaping into debug. So particularly for doing landscaping, I almost always end up kind of relying on some of the debug. However, now you see me going back into just base games, some of the kind of typical ones, maybe like the fern and some of the low-lying yellow flowers. Those are the ones that I actually picked up that trick from watching Lil Simsy, because this is the one that she ends up using as kind of like a base for her landscaping. And I really, really enjoy that look, so I began to do that as well. So shout out to Lil Simsy, of course. She taught me a lot of the tips and tricks that I myself know in game as well. Of course, going into doing some of the terrain paint as well, wanting to give it a little bit more of like a actual dirty, like lived in, there's a lot of traffic where people are walking around sort of thing. And now I am going into doing some decorations on the outside of the house, kind of like what we got from Cottage Living with like the wisteria. I really, really enjoy it, and I think that it's so, so beautiful. So I wanted to make sure that I used it here. Although later on you will see me going through with my sim self, and that is primarily just to make sure that this is functional. So I did go through and make sure that this is a functional build. The kitchen works, the dining area works, the bathroom works. You can get upstairs and go and use the bedroom however you need to. And here we are now going into a bit more of the landscaping and everything. You saw me really quickly kind of just checking it out, seeing how I was liking it so far, and then moving on to doing the plants and everything on the roof. This essentially just makes it look a little bit more natural or hidden into the terrain a little bit. Essentially just giving it a little bit more of a blend, so it's not just like a super flat roof. Obviously, because I did use this grass texture, I wanted to give it a little bit of some sort of texture that actually came up off of the terrain as well. Another thing that I would like to note, just my own personal opinion, you can see me kind of having to figure out where some of these plants would actually go. I think that this was mainly a difficulty that I had because I was curving the rooftops. I think that if you did something that was a little bit more classically slanted, and doesn't have any like curve to it at all and it's more of a straight line, I think that you might have a little bit more ease with doing this in the future. But I do really, really like how it turned out. Now we are in game. My sim self is running up from the backyard now and into the house. So this is the Hobbit-Hole from the outside. Right now it is very, very early in the morning, but I did want to still go into game and show you which lot this was a little bit better as far as being able to actually see a bit more of the neighborhood. So we've got one lot here, a bigger lot here, and one more here. However, this was what I decided was my favorite lot that came with this new pack. So we have the dining area here, where you can see the hallway area with the staircase, and then a little bit of a glimpse as to what the kitchen looks like. And going into the kitchen, we do have just some aprons up and a couple of signs, the pots and pans. We have some crates there. Here's that gnome Dalf, of course. Here we are in the kitchen area. And we get one last angle where you can see into the living room area. And of course, what the dining area looks like from the actual inside corner of the house. This angle mostly giving you a good shot at what the bathtub looks like. And here we are from what the bathtub can see. And of course, the living room. So this would be the hallway view up into the front door area. And from here, you can see a little bit better some of the clutter items that are near the doorway. Unfortunately, our gnome Dalf's head is getting cut off just a little bit, but I couldn't take him out of the build. I had to keep him. And this is a view of the bedroom from the dresser corner. And here we have the beautiful bedroom area. And there's the sim self heading down the stairs. Here is a good view of the house from the backyard perspective. And again, from this angle one last time, I want to thank you so much for watching the video all the way to the end and sticking with me throughout the entire build. If you have not liked or commented yet, please do so. If there's anything that you would like to see from me in the future, make sure to put that down in the comments, as well as subscribe.